Okay.
Right on.
For those that was looking forward to the first installment of this, I screwed up, didn't record the audio, just got the video, but now, take 2 with my man here. So kick it off, buddy. Introduce yourself. Tell us all about what you do, what you've done, and everything in between.
Oh, man. All right. Ace Baldwin, PNBA, NGA, and now WNBF Pro, natural bodybuilder. Just coming off the Sacramento Muscle Mayhem
Yep.
win, the overall, and man, fire away. Answer whatever questions you got for me, and we'll go from there.
All right, let's do this. Okay, so 15-year career. Start from the top. What got you into it? Where'd you come from, and all that stuff?
Yeah, 15 years, man. That flies by. I first show was when I was 25, and I was a trainer, fresh out of the Marine Corps.
Yep.
And fellow trainer, coworker of mine, suggested bodybuilding. Said, hey, you got a good physique. You ever thought of competing? And back then, I didn't know anything about it, and I only knew the cliched, IIFYM Pro extra large. And and he basically said, no, it's like different weight classes like boxing or MMA or whatever.
Right.
And he said, you may not be a heavyweight or super heavyweight, but you might be a good middleweight or something like that,
Yep.
So, he said, hey, there's a show in 5 weeks locally. You want to do it? And I was like, oh, that seems like really far away. 5 weeks.
5 weeks, plenty of time.
I know. Yeah, like I thought, prep would be a couple days and you gotta pump up, So I did a show in 5 weeks with some basic, exact same eating meal plan.
Yep.
Did okay. Got third in the novice and the open, and then finally saw like how you really have to be with the top guys there.
For sure.
And but I was bitten by the bug and was hooked for sure, and found something that I wanted to do for me, as an adult. And at that point, started really living the life, So I've been a bodybuilder ever since. That was 15 years ago. Just turned 40 in March.
Nice.
And that's that, man.
That's incredible. So with you coming in, you said you were in the Marine Corps first, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So
right out of high school, I consider that was like my college.
Yep.
So 4 years of the Marine Corps, and obviously it's pretty physical. So that was like the easy part for me.
Totally.
Joining the Marines scared me a lot less than college.
Wow.
I was an okay student in high school, but I didn't apply myself a lot. I basically got good enough grades to keep being eligible for sports, right?
The bare minimum.
So I was always an athletic kid and really strong for my size, that kind of thing. Yeah. 4 years in the Marine Corps right out of high school, and then as a trainer after that.
Yep.
So obviously it builds a pretty good physique while you're in the military. It's a bit of an imbalance if you just do what they want you to do as far as training, because it's a lot of upper body push-ups, pull-ups.
Right.
But for legs, you're kind of just running or hiking.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of correct that upper-lower imbalance.
Totally.
As I started to compete.
So what did you do? Yeah. So you get into the bodybuilding and you're like, okay, my legs need work. What was your approach to that?
Right. Yeah. I did well right out of the gate, but I had a lot of feedback from the judges saying, hey, you look great, but if you could just bring the legs up more, I was like, okay, I got it. And initially for years, it was, a pretty basic bro split, as they may call it, right? Every body part once a week. Legs kind of, you kill them and they come back around a week later.
Yeah.
And then I would just thrash them, so bad, and sometimes throw up and hobbling around the rest of the week, and wondering how I'm going to train them again, even when a whole week later they're still really sore.
Still sore, yeah.
Yeah, and it really wasn't until years and years later, I think 2012, when I hired my coach, Eric Helms, with 3DMJ, 3D Muscle Journey.
Yep.
And he said, all right, we're going to start training these legs 3 times a week. And I was just like...
You're like, what?
I was like, how? I can't. How will that be possible, you know? They're already so sore.
Yeah.
From just once a week. And,
exactly.
you know, he explained to me they'll adapt, and that's why basically a whole week goes by, they feel like they're always starting over again.
Yep.
And if you force them to recover sooner, then they will.
Yep.
So that was kind of the key to not only faster recovery, but also obviously the growth and balance that I was looking for years.
Nice.
So, you know, we took the scientific approach, and I've stuck with that ever since. And so now for me, you know, legs are in some ways a strong point for me, as they have good shape, good outer sweep. I can get my glutes dialed in, you know, hamstrings dug out, and some feathering in the quads and all that. But yeah, really, it was training them more often. And so for me, it depends on what program I'm doing, but it's always at least twice a week and sometimes 3 times a week now. Yeah. And I'm just going to basically keep that up for the rest of my life, because I know now if I only train them once, it's just going to mean they're more sore.
Yeah.
So
how do you spread out volume and exercise selection? Like when you were doing 3 days a week, did you have like 3 different leg days, or how was that structured?
Yeah, you know, some days were certainly geared more towards like the powerlifting rep ranges.
Oh, okay.
Very simple movements.
Yeah.
And then other days were more accessory work. I remember we started out with like obviously prioritizing squats, but you know, one day was a high bar day, one day was a low bar day, one day was a front squat.
Right.
And then, you know, different accessory rep ranges with obviously the progressive overload as being the main structure of it. So, yeah, just trying to be well-rounded, but keep it simple. I'm not one that likes necessarily more than 5-6 exercises per workout.
Right.
It just wears me down. So I'd rather focus on just 3 to 5 exercises and kill it.
Yep.
And I can handle as much volume per that exercise, but I don't want to feel like I got this crazy long laundry list of exercises per workout. That's not really how I like to train.
How long are you usually in the gym for? Like, what's a typical workout length?
Depending on the day and if it involves cardio or not, but just strength training wise, could be 45 minutes, could be up to an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty typical. Have it be just right versus let it drag on, you know. But you know, if it's only a shoulder day for me, shoulders I can do in 45 minutes, no problem.
Yeah, bang it out.
But if I'm being pretty extensive with a certain leg split or, you know, a pull day or something like that, it can be over an hour.
Yep. So would you say, you know, for someone that has a weak point, maybe not legs, more volume, splitting it up a little bit more would probably be a good idea?
You know, yeah, it wouldn't hurt. I really think it just depends on the individual, whether that person prefers or adapts to more volume or more frequency.
Yeah.
So, obviously more work is more.
Yeah.
But it's more about, like, you know, quality and finding that sweet spot for you. I mean, what you have to find is what really works for you yourself.
Yeah.
And man, that's hard to teach.
Yeah, for
sure. Is
sure.
having that that faith and trust that you know how something feels to you, and you can recognize whether it's working or not. So
for sure.
that just comes with experience.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, especially the younger guys or people that are starting out, it's this whole like, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And it's like, I need more feedback from you, or you need to trust how something feels or works for you. And for myself, I mean, I've got more than 20 years of of banging it out in the gym and my own trial and error, whether I have a coach or not.
Yep.
And at this point now, it's such a good peace of mind to feel like, oh, I know exactly what works for me.
Totally.
You know,
makes it
from
easy.
Rep ranges to exercise selection to, you know, you name it. It's
cool.
like I really know exactly what works and what doesn't work for me. So yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. Cool. So let's get into diet a little bit. So what is your, frame of mind as far as the classic clean eating, bro split, the Flex magazine, here's your 6 meals a day versus the new kind of, if it fits your macros, flexible dieting. Those two seem to butt heads, right? So what's your tactic on that?
You know, I think once you understand the science behind it all, and you know, these days, especially as the days, weeks, months, years go by, the info is there.
Yeah,
it's like proven. You know what I mean? The science is there. It's not really like, oh, in this camp, these guys are saying this, and it's like, come on, man, it's pretty much proven. So I prefer the scientific approach that, you know, if you want to eat bro style and follow the same meal plan day in and day out, you can, but it still means that your body's figuring out how many calories that is, you know, and what the macronutrient breakdown is. And only you know if certain foods agree with your system or not. Right. So, you know, I have done the, you know, meal plan and eating the exact same bland, boring stuff years ago. And it can only get you so far before it's either like a house of cards ready to come crumbling down, and then you're just going to be binge eating in the Safeway parking lot. You know, that's a grocery store here. So, you know, or you're just so bitter that you have no variety in your diet. You know, so yeah, but I do find that going from one end of the spectrum all the way to the other, where the whole flexible dieting and if it fits your macros and things like that, where people are basically seeing how much sugar-free Jell-O they can eat, and
people take it to an extreme,
putting away like a 6-pack of diet soda a day, you know, things like that, and coming up with the protein fluff just so they can have a gallon of something. You know, and a ton of synthetic food. Just because it doesn't really have calories. I think there needs to be some balance there. And I find that after I went that way, you know, for a period of time, just to see what you can kind of get away with. I prefer to eat cleaner and a lot more, let's say, simple and somewhat structured and similar day to day, just because it answers the question of, hey, what am I going to have? All right, you're going to have the same damn omelet that you really love. So if you have that 5 days a week, great, no problem. You know, and if you want to change it up, you know that you can. But I enjoy the same huge ass salad every night. You know, I pick what clean protein I want. Do I get carbs or do I not get carbs, depending on how much I had earlier in the day? So again, it's more or less finding what works for you, but yes, still following. Go by the damn numbers. That's what it is. Your numbers allow you to have what you want. Can you work things in? Yeah, you can. You know,
it's a good a good like educational tool, I find, for people, like, to learn like what's in food. Like, okay, if I want this much carbs, and everybody's like, okay, I'm gonna have ice cream, but if you like don't have fat left, okay, well, you can't have that, right? You might have to resort to like the plain rice cakes instead of the ice cream. Like you learn how to structure that.
Totally. And that just comes with experience, you know. It's funny how many clients I have that ask me those same rookie questions where you're going, oh, you don't know that, like, if you just structure this, you know? And they go, oh, I didn't even think of that, you know? So, and, you know, sometimes it's like your numbers don't allow you to have a certain something because you're not willing to compromise the whole rest of the day just for that. So you're like, oh, it's not worth it. And sometimes you're like, no, that'll be worth it to have, you know, a pint of Ben and Jerry's Froyo tonight and be kind of, you know, leaner earlier in the day as far as like carb fat consumption or something like that. So it just depends what, but still it's a balance. It's like, I find that there's nothing that you should do that should be drastic, you know? do I want to like starve all throughout the day just so that nighttime could be like
binge.
crazy?
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't, but do I have to eat every 3 hours on the dot? No. So, yeah.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on like meal timing and nutrient timing? Like, are you, like some examples are like no carbs first thing in the morning, carbs around your workout, or no carbs before bed.
Yeah. Right. That again is, to me, it's what is most realistic for your or the individual's lifestyle.
Right.
So, it's like if I have certain work hours and I need to know, I know that I need to eat at a certain time because I won't be able to later, then you have to take that into account,
Yeah, exactly.
And then let's say I got a client that works graveyard shift at the jail, and he knows that his meals are completely switched from mine.
Right. So
it's just adjusting accordingly to your lifestyle. So if it means that you're awake longer or shorter, but I find that basically, again, nothing should be drastic. Right? Do I believe that you should eat every few hours, or do you need to get out of bed and like run right to the kitchen? No.
Need that omelet.
I do like, I do like to kind of sandwich my training with food.
Yeah.
And that just is very simple. It's like, I don't want to be training where I already feel starved. I'm already hungry.
Yep.
And obviously, I know that will give me some fuel and not just feel like I'm hungry while I'm working out.
Yep.
And then I also don't have no reason to like keep starving my muscles or my body after the workout. But do I believe in the anabolic window?
We all did at one point.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I'm not having my shake just because I finished training. It's just that, hey, it's been another few hours and I want to have something. So yeah. So no, I don't feel like there's any need to cut out food at a certain time of day.
Yeah.
Like my last meal is usually about midnight, and it's just because I'm still awake.
Wow.
So, and that's even during prep. So if I don't like to go to bed hungry, and if I'm still awake several hours after dinner, well, I'm going to make sure that I get something.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's just personal. Yeah. So I eat late.
Yeah, gotcha. How much stock do you put in supplements? Like what do you take? What do you advise your clients to take? Like that's probably like the number one question.
Yeah.
Like, especially me working with like young athletes is like, well, what supplements do I need? I'm like, dude, you don't even have your food in check yet. Like, what are you talking about supplements?
Right. Yeah. To quote my coach Eric Helms, worrying about the supplements before you completely have the diet and training in check is putting the cart before the horse.
Yep.
And so even though I'm a sponsored athlete by Citadel Nutrition, the best supplement company in the world, in my opinion. If somebody said, hey, Ace, tomorrow you can't have another supplement for the rest of your life, I wouldn't lose any sleep over it.
Yeah.
And it's because I understand what I could still do with nutrition and training and genetics and that
100%.
But at can it help? Absolutely. I mean, there's no denying what caffeine can do. There's no denying what creatine has already proven. So if you're not getting enough from food, I mean, that's exactly what it is. It's supplementing.
Yeah.
But, is it going to produce, the anabolic-like results? Like, no, of course not, right?
Yeah.
So, beware of the companies that really have a lot of hype and are promising everything. Would it be enough to where it would change you and you could see a difference? Who knows? I think it's hard to tell, but at my level, we're trying to not leave any stone unturned, right? And I'm going, well, if I'm not doing this, the next guy is, right? So
totally.
It's peace of mind. It's knowing that I've got a good athlete vitamin that I'm taking in, that's got everything that already proves that I'm deficient in, or my hard training is sucking out of me, right? Or the degradation of foods these days just because of how modified they are. The nutrients in an apple from 1950 is probably not the same as today. So
Yeah, for sure.
even though it might look the same. So it's things like that. Omegas, taking a good fish oil.
What would be your top three?
So, yeah, for sure.
What would be your top three? Like if like someone had their perfect training, perfect diet, and they're like, okay,
yeah,
I got that in check. What's like 3 supplements? I got $120 to spend. What's my 3?
Right. All right. I think a good athlete vitamin would be one that isn't just your normal ABC, but that has the calcium, magnesium, zinc, things like that. That, like I said, really the science proves that the way we train really zaps the heck out of that.
Yeah.
So putting that back in.
Right.
And then I would say a good fish oil, and then a protein powder, even if you want to call that a supplement, even though it's more like food, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, damn it, my phone's going to die, so I'm going to go plug it in, and then you're going to have to edit this.
That's fine. I can do that.
But we can keep going until it cuts out. But
okay.
Yeah, so those 3 things, man. If you feel that you need some crazy stimulant to go work out, then that must mean that you're on the tail end of prep.
Yeah.
Or you're just not that psyched to train.
Exactly.
So, I'm so excited to train.
Yeah.
Every day that I don't need to feel like I'm crawling out of my skin because I'm taking beta alanine. I don't like that feeling necessarily. But I understand when it can help.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
Sure. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift a little bit and talk about. So you own your own business. You're a gym owner. You're a full-time competitive bodybuilder. How has prep life for the last 15 years with a family, with a business? How have you handled that? How have you dealt with that?
It hasn't always been easy.
Yeah.
As we know that competing it can be a really selfish sport, you know. But a lot of sports can be. But because bodybuilding tends to be more like a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Then we tend to kind of eat, sleep, breathe, train.
Laser focused.
All day. And so, it's prioritizing, it's realizing that, hey, you're going to train an hour or 2 every day. You're going to meal prep and cook and eat. And that might take another hour-ish a day after you add it all together.
Yep.
So what are you doing the other 20 plus hours a day?
Yep.
It's like you still have to have a regular life.
Totally.
So it's that balance of saying, hey, look, I still work. I still need to do my job. If you do have a family like I do, a wife and 2 daughters, you have to be there for them. And I have failed and succeeded at that at certain points of my career. And you learn,
Totally.
So it's.
We lost it. Hey, we're rolling.
All right. Sorry about that, man.
That's all good. Okay. Where the heck did we leave off? You remember?
Yeah. And I can't see you, but if you can see me and hear me, great.
Yeah, I can.
You cool?
Yeah, you're frozen, but I can hear. Oh, we're good now. We're good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, where we left off was how do I balance
That's right.
basically competing and prep, with the family and business and all of that. And my answer initially was that it hasn't always been easy. It's not easy, you know, and that I've failed and succeeded on certain levels of that throughout my whole competing career in 15 years. But it's definitely about balance. I mean, you only are going to train or have to train so long in a day, even if it includes cardio.
Yeah.
And as far as making food and buying food, and I mean, everybody has to eat multiple times a day anyway, right?
Yeah,
So
true.
does yours need to take many more hours than somebody else? Not really. You know, competing does not give you a pass to be an asshole to your family, your friends, coworkers. So obviously it gets hard, but you have to learn how to balance that. So the biggest tip I could give is time management. I mean, you need to know when you're going to train.
Yep.
If you are lying in bed the night before and you don't know when you're going to get your 1 to 2 hours of training in the following day, you need to figure that out. If you don't have the food ready that you need for the next day, you're going to need to figure that out, and you need to be doing that consistently, day after day, week after week, to where you've got it down.
Yeah.
And it doesn't consume you, because I mean, it's not like we do this as a job. And if you are a pro, it's not like it pays you. I mean, it's not. We don't do this for the money, you know. I mean, even as a pro, we joke around and say, "Hey, I'm just trying to earn my entry fee back."
Yeah, sure.
So, it's certainly obviously a sport and lifestyle of passion and of love, it's time management. Cool. And understanding that you're going through this, and it doesn't necessarily mean that everybody else has their life on hold.
Yeah.
You still need to interact with your kids and be there for your wife and your family. And, I've been lucky that my family understands what I go through and they support me.
Awesome.
And, again, it doesn't mean it's easy for them. And they'll tell you there's times where they've been walking on eggshells because I am not handling it well. You know, I'm hungry, I'm tired, I'm drained, I've got no energy, I'm irritable. And you just have to say, oh man, how can I handle this better?
Yeah.
One thing this year I took up was meditation.
Cool.
There's an app for that. So, hey,
so what did you do? Just touch on that real quick. What did you use?
Yeah. The Calm app.
So
CALM.
Cool. Love that place. It's an awesome app.
Yeah. So, for $10 a month, and you can use that every day and just take some time to yourself. I mean, you can cater it towards, how you like as far as background sounds, what you want to touch on.
Yep.
Sleep music, stories you want to hear.
Yep.
It's, but just taking 10 minutes of quiet time to yourself.
It's so hard with these things now,
basically.
It's so hard with these to have quiet time. You're always on with this thing.
Yeah, for sure. We'll use up every second of your day, all the way till you go to bed, whether it's work or online. So you lose a bit of kind of getting grounded.
Yep.
And so that really helped me this year. That was something that I've known I needed to do for years. And finally, what was it, last year, maybe the year before, watching YouTube videos of Matt Ogus taking his time to meditate, and get your mind right.
Yep.
It's one thing to get your body honed in and all of that, but if you don't have it up here, everything else can suffer. So,
that's awesome,
but
man.
Getting back to, how do I balance everything? I've been lucky to have family that I have that, whether they agree with what I have to do, it's like my mom hates seeing me go through prep and feeling like I'm basically starving or whatever,
Yeah, you're not eating anything.
You can't eat this and that. Yeah, or my wife, who also, luckily she understands. She was a competitor too.
Oh, okay.
So she's been through it,
Yeah, she knows.
And the support I get from home, I feel so lucky and thankful for.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The fact that they're proud of me. When they tell me, they say, hey, we love seeing you do what you do, and do it well, and knowing that they're proud of me and they back me and they support me and they understand, you know, again, it's not a free pass to be an asshole, but, you know, if they can help, you know, they do. So sometimes it's, my wife's got, you know, the salad already made when I get home, you know, although I do love to cook most of my own stuff, but, you know, or making my chicken and saying like, yeah, I already took the skin off of the chicken breast because I know that would just tempt you, you know, it's like, damn it. Yeah. So it's things like that. Or getting what I need at the grocery store, you know? So I'm really thankful for that because I never feel like anybody else needs to do anything for me. I don't expect that, you know?
Yeah.
I grew up pretty much doing so much just for myself.
Yeah.
Being self-efficient, you know? So to have the support from the family is huge.
That's awesome. What are your tactics towards like, you know, birthdays or going out for dinner and stuff like that? Like, do you have like, you know, if you're going to go to a restaurant, is it like, okay, I can have this or this or this, or do you take something in? Like I was that guy that took my Tupperware into the freaking restaurant. Like I was that dude.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I think I've done that maybe a few times, but I just find that it's not realistic. And if you're going to do that, you might as well not go, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I basically do as far as birthdays and holidays, big holidays, you know, I'm not going to be like, oh, I had to have cake because it was President's Day. Like, no, sorry.
Try to find every excuse you could.
Say, yeah, you know, you're going to have a birthday once a year.
Yeah.
You're going to have Christmas, you know, and Thanksgiving one day a year.
Yeah.
Do it up. You know, I mean, obviously don't try to like do yourself in. I mean, I know personally I can set myself a whole week in one day. Absolutely. I could. I go hard.
Yeah.
So, but you can enjoy that day, you know, and even during prep, granted that your show isn't really close, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're down to the final couple of weeks, every day counts, right? But if you've got months out and you know that that's the one day out of 7 that is not going to be like the rest of the week, you know, there's a lot of things you can do. Obviously, you're making all the other days perfect or as close as perfect as you can.
Yep.
And then obviously the rest of that day, other than that meal, you know, you can keep it clean or even cleaner, right? You can still try to get your numbers to add up if you've got numbers, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, you want to enjoy it. You don't want to be like, no, I don't get to have anything special on my birthday, or I can't sit down to Christmas dinner because I've got a show in 4 months. It's like, come on, man.
4 months
you know, so be realistic, enjoy. I get a lot of people that whether it is my birthday or a major holiday, and they see me eating like everything, right? And a lot. I love food like a lot of bodybuilders.
Yeah.
And my non-bodybuilding family or friends or whatever, they go, how can you eat like that? Like, oh my God, like you're eating more than all of us combined. And I go, because I didn't yesterday and I won't tomorrow.
Yeah.
But you will.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're like, yeah.
You're right.
I'm like, you have whatever you want every day. But I'm being so structured 6 out of 7 days that today doesn't really matter.
No.
Unless I keep going like, you know, till 4 a.m. But, you know, so yeah, per that major holiday meal or birthday, like, enjoy it, you know? And another thing too is if you go crazy, you don't try to overcompensate the next day by doing excess cardio and starving yourself, you know? Your body doesn't like to feel like it's going so left field and so right field. It's going to just throw things off. So try to get right back on the track that you already have.
Yeah, cool. Just touching on the Calm app that you mentioned, how much stock do you put in like recovery tactics, like mobility and flexibility, massage, like chiro? Like how much effort do you put in that kind of stuff? Because I think that's a huge one that people don't hear about a lot of. Like you see a lot of the pros actually,
right.
You know, they're in with their coaches and their chiros and stuff, but a lot of people just think nutrition, training, and supplements. But what about the recovery side?
Yeah. Right. Again, I think it might depend on the individual.
Right.
Well, it does definitely depend on the individual. We know young kids that are like never touched on a stretch in their life and have never needed a chiropractor, don't know what active release therapy is. You know what I mean? Get right in there, start benching 2 plates as a warm up, and kill it at the next show.
It's do like, some of these. Great. Walk in the gym like this.
But so, right, yeah. So, and certainly aren't going to meditate and things like that.
Yeah.
But I know, obviously, as you get older, the preventive maintenance is much more important.
Right.
I think the younger you can start to take that to heart, probably the less injury you're going to accumulate.
Totally.
And you will recover faster and better. It's being smart. It's doing your due diligence.
Totally.
And looking at it as flexibility and range of motion. These are all things that are still a major facets of fitness. It's not just how strong you are or how you look, right? Yeah. So taking a lot of these other things to heart, and probably listening to some of the older guys like myself, it could really help them be that much better earlier and through most of their career. I tell a lot of the younger guys that I work with, I say, hey, I'm going to teach you everything that I wish somebody told me when I was your age.
So listen.
I say, I've made all the mistakes so that you don't have to.
Yeah.
And here's some of the things that really help that I didn't know could help, right?
Totally.
So, I have an awesome chiropractor, active release therapy, Dr. Caleb Ridgway. Shout out to you. Awesome guy, awesome competitor as well, another pro.
Cool.
And so whether I've got spinal issues or soft tissue issues, he could definitely work wonders on me.
Awesome.
And I'm a believer now, where before I was kind of skeptical.
Yeah.
It was like, look, if it's not broken, great, I'll just suffer through it.
Yeah.
And hope things heal on their own.
If it's not broken, it will be one day.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I definitely feel like it is, who we are is some of all of our parts. And it's not just the training. It's not just the nutrition. You do need a certain amount of sleep and recovery and good sleep, right?
Yeah.
That's still a major category that I'm trying to work on.
Yeah, I
will admit that I don't get as much sleep, and half on the couch because I fell asleep and then finally made it to bed.
Yeah.
My wife hates that. It's like, good quality sleep is huge. Staying hydrated, obviously nutrition. But stretching, before, after, body work for sure.
Yeah.
It's huge. And understand that it can be expensive, but, can you afford to get injured and then have to take X amount of time off? I've had seasons and shows get completely derailed because of injury.
Yeah.
And man, nothing breaks your heart more than that when everything was going great.
Yeah, everything was on
point. And then
point.
all of a sudden, what's this feeling in my knee or what's this feeling in my shoulder? And you try to work through it and you just make it worse and worse. And then you're going, wow, I can't keep doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
And man, it's just like a shot to your heart.
Makes you sick.
Yeah, everything was going okay until it's not,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's good now. Like, there's so many resources online, right? Like, you can get like a foam roller and like a lacrosse ball and a lot of stuff you can do yourself, right? Like, as you said, it's not cheap.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of that stuff, can run you like $100 an hour, which most people can't afford. But like, thankfully, there is resources where you can get that information and do what you can.
Yeah. If you're not searching this stuff out, there's a certain amount of you don't give a shit enough.
Yeah.
These days, all the information is there at your phone.
Yeah.
It is just insane.
100%.
What you can learn and how fast you can learn it, and if you want to do it, you will. There's no excuse anymore.
Yeah.
So, seeking that stuff out, getting a ton of information of how to, you could YouTube all day long and practically become pro at anything you want.
Legit. That's so true.
And and it's just up to you if you care enough to do that and you have enough passion and you follow that. Yeah.
Awesome. So why did you choose the natural route? I think that's a cool question. I like to hear from different people, and especially yourself so long in the game, right? Like it's one thing for 2 years of competitors, but you're 15 years in. So why'd you say, okay, I'm gonna take the long route?
a good answer to that is I feel really lucky that I have always been thankful for what I can do without taking anything banned, basically. And yes, I am saying I'm lifetime natural, so not ever taking any kind of testosterone, performance enhancing drugs or whatever. I've just always been thankful for the development I could build without any of that. While still wishing I was better, we always wish we were better or results came faster, a lot of times I talk to some of the kids in the gym and I can see, the good old spots on the side of the pecs, right? The awesome stretch marks.
Yeah.
And I go, damn, I've always been jealous of the stretch marks because that obviously meant somebody was growing fast enough for their skin to even keep up.
Yeah.
And I don't have one stretch mark on my body.
Really?
And I even, no, not one anywhere. And I was like, I always wanted that, like as a badge of honor.
They're growth marks.
And I was like, damn, yeah, exactly, right? So I not one, and I always wanted that. But I don't know if that's really what that's from or not. And another testament, it's like, damn, I compete now lighter than I did 15 years ago. It's like,
what?
Shit. What? Right? Yeah. So
what do you compete at? What do you compete at?
What's that?
What do you compete at? Like, what's your weight?
I would say this year was my lightest ever, and clearly looked my best ever. And the morning before the show was the last time I was able to step on the scale, and that was 149.8, I believe. So I broke the 150 mark.
Holy shit!
Knowing that I carb, and that's at 5'7" height.
Wow.
And that was my goal. I said I want to get under 150, even if I just see it once. And I nailed it on the very last day I had a chance to before I carb up.
Holy.
And I basically, I usually carb up, fully carbed without spilling over, somewhere between 3 and 4 pounds. So probably stage weight was still under 155 as a lightweight. Man. And I think my first show I was like 165. But you look at that, you go, yeah, it's like, okay, beach body. You know, not shredded, right?
Yeah.
What you thought was lean is not lean anymore, and certainly doesn't cut it.
It opens your eyes.
So anyway, I know I have more muscle now. I just am willing to be way sharper than I was back then.
That's insane.
It's still like a trip and a mind fuck, to go, what have I been doing for 15 years to where I would
lost 15 pounds in 15 years.
Yeah, you'd be lighter later than, and it's like, people go, what have you been doing to try to make any progress or grow, or where are your gains? And it's like, I've been doing every
freaking thing
I could. Everything I could, and that just shows you that the number doesn't necessarily mean anything. I mean, we use it as one gauge, right? But there's a lot of different numbers to focus on, whether it's weight, body fat percentage, measurements.
Yep.
But it's a visual sport. So if you want to just go visually, look at pictures from my first show and my last show. It's night and day. It's like, are you kidding? So the fact that I could always stand backstage and look at myself in the mirror and go, my God, I can't believe that's me. I am thankful that I can build that. Would I want to be 10, 15, 20 pounds heavier shredded? Yeah, I would, because I still would be considerably under 200 pounds, and I wouldn't think that that's too bulky.
Yeah.
But that's just, I'm not able to do that, so not without any drugs, and that's okay. I'm okay. I'm secure with who I am and what I can build, and I like the shape and structure that I have built. And I've really enjoyed the journey. I'm not always just chasing a number on the scale, or, oh, I got to compete as a middleweight, or I got to be a light heavy.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I just want to be the best me I can,
Yeah.
and love every day of being in the gym and loving myself for who I am. And so, yes, I've been really thankful to just simply be happy with what I can do naturally.
Yeah.
And I also have never had anybody try to push anything on me.
Which makes
I've never
it easier,
had workout partners that took things, and so I've never had to really avoid it at all. So I couldn't tell you what does what. I know some of the names of things just because they get thrown out there, but I got no idea about those kind of pharmaceuticals.
That's awesome, man. That's the one thing too that I love about bodybuilding. Like, talk about the scale and stuff. Like, it's not just about the scale. It's like proportion and symmetry and how's everything put together, right? Like, you can completely ignore the number and look at a body and be like, okay, this is a good looking bodybuilder.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a visual sport, right? So I'm always telling my competitors, I go, hey, the judges have no idea what you weigh, you know, and they don't care. They don't care what your body fat percentage is.
Yeah.
I said, really, neither do I, and neither should you.
Yeah.
We're after a certain look.
Exactly.
And until we get that certain look, we're going to keep working, I will use the numbers as a tool to kind of monitor progress. But, visually, I mean, that's where we're at. So, yeah, I mean, you look at the fact that, I was able to win the overall at the Mayhem, a couple weeks ago as a lightweight, right? So if I'm going to beat the middle and the heavyweight, what did the scale matter compared to shape and structure and how shredded you are and posing and so
much more
I love
to it.
that, and that makes me really proud.
That's awesome. All right, man, let's finish this off with like a little rapid fire Q&A. Just quick jabs, quick answers. Favorite body part to train?
I gave this some thought. I'm gonna say legs, man.
Leg day.
Yeah. It's a day that people love to hate, man. I feel like good arms, good chest is a dime a dozen, and the wheels is where, to me, that's where a lot of hard work proves itself. I always had a thing that as I kept competing, if anybody said, oh man, you should see Ace's wide back or he's got really good delts, I want somebody else to say, yeah, but have you seen his legs?
Look at his legs.
And so that's I feel like when I get in there, that's what I really just absolutely kill, and I feel like legs, awesome. Man.
So with that in mind, like top, like, I don't know, 2 exercises for legs.
Obviously doing squats clean and correctly, and feeling yourself progress with that. You got some heavy ass weight on your shoulders. Man, that feels really good. And then I really like the prone hamstring curl, just that squeeze that I get, and using a weight properly and the right weight, where you're squeezing it, not trying to fling it up. Just as far as how it feels to me, those 2 probably are my favorite.
Awesome. Favorite cheat meal?
Oh man, gosh, there's just too many. I'm gonna say my wife's chocolate chip cookies.
Oh, you suck up. She's going to see this and be like, aw.
Yeah, she will. Believe me, and they were there in a big-ass Tupperware the day of my show, and having to try to not have too many before I get on for the finals. But yeah, they're like the size of dinner plates, and probably a stick of butter in each one.
Nice.
And soft in the middle. And oh, dude.
I was just about to ask, are you a soft or a crunchy cookie guy?
It needs to be thick enough, like a burger, to where, the outside is hard enough, but the inside is, oh man. And if you haven't tried bacon chocolate chip cookies, let me tell you, you
might be on something. Yeah, right on. Okay, biggest annoyance in the gym. You look around and you're like, quit that.
Oh, I would say people that don't understand the science behind losing weight, so they'll be fairly heavy and
Yep.
still doing just like a single arm dumbbell curl with like a 5.
Yep.
Things
Just
like
wasting
that.
time.
Side bends, I think.
That's a classic.
And you want to explain it to them, but you realize you'd be talking for 20 minutes and they probably still wouldn't take it to heart, blah, blah. So, it just drives you crazy. It's like, we know too much, we see behind the curtain, and you're watching the majority of people in the gym making mistakes that are just wasting time. And it's pretty frustrating.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, last one. Advice to the new lifter, the new bodybuilder. 2-3 tips that they need to hear.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Number one, definitely get to know yourself. Get to know your own body.
Okay.
You want to feel like you know exactly what movements work for you.
Yep.
Right. And feel your body doing the work, figure out, are you a power lifter or are you a bodybuilder? Find the exercises that you truly feel work best for you. And you got to trust that way more than some, Excel spreadsheet or some program that somebody else gave you or something that you read online, So get to know yourself and take the time to do that. Cool. And then another bit of advice as far as competing, really figure out if it's what you want to do. Figure out if you do have the love and passion for the sport, because, man, it is not a quick fix and it takes time. If you're going to do it drug-free, I mean, obviously myself as an example.
Yeah, 15 years.
15 years in the game. I'm still learning all the time. But I love the lifestyle. I don't want to be any different. I don't know any different anymore. So, my training is my sanctuary, and I would be training if I was the last guy on the planet.
Yeah.
I don't do it for anybody else. It inspires others, and that's great. But I train for me so that I'm a better person. I'm healthier. Figure out if it's really what you want to do, because it does take a lot, and it's definitely more about the whole journey versus the destination. So
cool. That's awesome.